trust is built through vulnerability. So if people don't trust a pastor talking about money, how do you build trust to say, hey, this is a hard conversation for me to have with you
Mm,
because I'm fearful of A, B, C, and D. And
yeah.
immediately, in most cases, people are gonna be like, great.
Well, hey everyone, welcome to Distilled, and we are back with Mark Venti from Overflow and
Hey,
Generosity University. If you didn't catch our first episode with him, make sure you go and check that out after you check out this one.
we had a good time.
Mark, yeah, we did. We had a
Yeah.
great time and a good conversation. And to start this one, I want to ask you a question. And so this is off the script, so you can get mad at me later if you want. But it's a would you rather question.
Okay. I'll
So
make it.
would you rather always be 10 minutes late or always be 20 minutes early?
I would rather be 20 minutes early than 10 minutes
Okay,
late. The reality is, I'm closer to being late
or 10
than
minutes
early.
late.
And that's
Yeah. Okay.
why I'd rather be 20 minutes early than 10 minutes late
Yeah.
'cause I need to
Uh,
change.
this one, I was like, I don't know, because I hate sitting around doing nothing. So I would hate to be early, but I don't, I like to respect people's time and be on time. So
Yeah.
I would hate being late.
Yeah.
All right, great. Well, today we're going to talk about what if they don't trust a church with money. So we'll look at this from a few perspectives, but to start, how did Jesus talk about money with his followers?
Yeah. Well, first off, what's really interesting about Jesus talking about money is he talked about it a lot
Yeah.
because money is such an overflow of our lives.
Hmm.
It's the result of our work, which is our time.
Yeah.
It's also the tool that we apply to go after what we want. And
Yep.
so he talked about it a lot because it's close to the heart of the human.
Hmm.
To go first off about how did Jesus talk about money? If I really summed it up in two things, it's that he talked a lot about giving it away
Hmm.
and he talked a lot about stewardship. So interesting, we talked a little bit about financial literacy. He actually didn't teach financial literacy, but what he
Okay.
did is he talked about stewardship.
Yeah.
He talked about avoiding greed. He talked about the importance of contentment. And he did talk about debt and obligation, which is interesting about how to manage our debts appropriately and also the power that money has over us. But in general, he really spoke to the heart of it. And I think as church leaders, we should really just go back to not what is happening in culture, but we should go back to the basics of hey, how did Jesus talk about money? And I want to follow his approach.
Yeah, that's so good. And I've heard it said, and I don't know if this is statistically exactly accurate, but if we talked about money as often as Jesus did, we'd be preaching about it like every third or fourth Sunday. So it'd be once a month. It's very common, and yet most pastors struggle to do it even once a year because there's such stigma around it, which you talked about some in the last episode. And one other thing that I was thinking about, and you kind of mentioned this, money, it's your time, talent, treasure, all in one thing. It kind of like puts an amount to that. And so that's why it's just so dear to people and so significant. So if we're not talking about it, people are left to just kind of find out how they should steward, how they should think
Right.
about these things from the world.
Other people are talking about it. And
Right.
so what's going to happen is they're going to listen to them
Hmm.
rather than listen to their pastor or listen to what the Bible says about it because they can learn about money from somebody else.
Yeah, that's so good. So, how do we talk about money with the people in our church that are skeptical with the church and probably especially around the idea of money or with their skepticism?
Well, first off, we could probably talk a long time on this subject
Okay.
because there's a lot in the Bible about how Jesus approached it. So my first answer is look at how Jesus did and follow his
Yeah.
lead. But big picture, I'm going to quote Pastor Rick Warren, and I love what he said. He said, "You'll never build a healthy, growing church unless you unashamedly, boldly ask people to give of their time and their money."
Hmm.
And I will say, especially newer pastors, it is more common than not when I talk to them that their answer is, yeah, I haven't quite figured out how to talk about money. I haven't addressed this with the church yet. I'm not quite sure how I want to because they're concerned about being pegged as, oh yeah, pastors always talk about money.
Yeah.
So we have to be bold about it and not apologize for it and put
Yeah.
heart behind it rather than just these truths so that we can talk about what Jesus talked about.
Yeah. If I'm a pastor and I fall into that where I'm fearful of it, I don't know how to, I struggle to be bold talking about it. If what do I do? How do I get even started with that? What would you recommend?
Well, I think sharing your heart and being vulnerable, like you just did, I think is powerful.
Mm,
Trust is built through vulnerability. So if people don't trust a pastor talking about money, how do you build trust to say, hey, this is a hard conversation for me to have with you
mm,
because I'm fearful of A, B, C, and D. And
yeah.
immediately, in most cases, people are gonna be like, great. Typically, somebody who's going to be laundering money is not going to say that.
Yeah.
I'd encourage you to be vulnerable with that concern and fear.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I think it's really important that your angle, and even you say this out loud, that in me talking about money, I'm not trying to get something from you. I'm trying to get something to you.
Mm,
This is more about as your pastor, I'm trying to equip you with something that's going to unlock things in your life. I'm actually
mm,
trying to help you increase your budget. I'm trying to help you find more freedom with your finances. I'm trying to get something to you than something from you, and sharing your heart in that will help again open up people's heart around your why, not just the what you're talking.
yeah. I love that. I mean, you think about stewardship but even just take it outside of the church. And it's just been shown that people, when they give, feel more blessed. It's better to give than to receive, they say, right?
For sure.
That's what the colloquialism that everyone says and realizes. We think of it as like, oh my gosh, this is like some legalistic thing I have to do. And as a pastor, you're thinking, oh, I got to ask my congregation to do all it. And it's like, no, like this is actually a blessing for them. Not that you're going to do this where it's like, oh, well, you're going to give, so then God will give you more. We don't know that, but God does honor good stewardship, right? And he shows that in different parables in scripture. So yeah, that's an interesting way to do that. And I think actually frees you up as a pastor because now you're not really saying like, we need to keep the lights on, so give. It's like, no, your heart needs for you to be giving. This is part of your discipleship.
I'll add in one third thing, which I mentioned in our last conversation, but encourage grabbing a board member or somebody in your church that maybe works with money, a business person, somebody that relates with the people in the seats,
Yeah.
and have them talk about it too. Maybe
Mm,
maybe your message on Sunday is you and that person together, or maybe you have them lead in a giving moment and just sharing, "Hey, for me, we trust this church with our income. I'm involved. I actually see all the back end stuff, and hey, all of our financials, and we get audited every year, and we put them up on the website. And as a board member at the church, whatever." But having that outside voice from a pastor is also a great way to validate you as a pastor and start continuing to build trust with the church around money.
yeah. Well, and that takes the pressure off too. If you say we as a church need to be talking about money, but it's not always I, and I can bring in other trusted voices to help lead the congregation. So I love that. Well, give it to me straight. What is one takeaway or action item that every pastor needs to take from this episode?
Talk about money, both giving and also how to help people manage their money well. And I will say that's why we launched Generosity University. It's an 8-week course that you can unlock at your church, and we are objective outside voices for you that can talk about this, whether it be a small group, class on Wednesday night, or even accounts that people can take home with them. I mean, my son's going to college in 3 weeks, and we are going through the course at home on Monday nights
Yeah.
because I want to
That's
equip
great.
him to manage
Yeah.
his money while he's gone. So we're happy to help you, and we've already done the work for you to come alongside you.
Yeah, that's great. And I mean, I was so excited when you shared that with me, both just telling me about it and then looking at it. And it's just really well done and feels very approachable
Mhm.
and simple, not in a negative, but just like it's easy to get into. It doesn't feel like overwhelming. I think so. That's a great resource. Well, where can people find out more about Generosity University, Overflow, and anything else?
Yeah, either on Overflow's Instagram handle, you'll see aspects of Generosity University filtered throughout all of our posts, or also just on Overflow's website, overflow.co. You can do /Generosity University or just go right to our main page. And under the three solutions, it's one of our three core solutions is by helping educate God's people around money. So you can find there and you can book a demo that will be with me, which is fun because I
Yeah.
really love to sit down and just problem solve with church pastors because that's what I've done my whole I don't call it career, but that's what I've done during the day, every day.
Yeah.
So to be able to sit down and problem solve with pastors is a lot of fun alongside too.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell everyone listening that this is one of the most intimidating and hard interviews I've had to do. So if you're going to have to sit with Mark, it's very scary. Just kidding. No, it's been great connecting with you. Love having you. And I'm sure a lot of people would even just doing the demo and getting a few minutes with you, people would be very blessed. So even if
Mm,
you're not sure, just take the time with Mark. He's a great guy and really has a lot to offer and has been very generous sharing that with me and in this time. So thanks, Mark, for being here. Really appreciate
thanks for
it.
having me.
And we'll talk with you soon.
Great. Thanks for having me.